So, hello.
Hello.
Cathleen Schine, Kathy.
Buongiorno.
So, buongiorno.
Joy.
Now, we are talking about your new novel that we are going to publish mid-September. The title is The Newyorkers, and it talks about women, men, dogs, and New York City. Can you tell me something about it?
Well, it began as, I think, a kind of outpouring of love to New York City. I started writing it right after 9/11, and I was feeling great warmth to the city and kind of protective of it. And I also had recently gotten a little dog, and I've lived in the city for many, many years, but I had never had a dog in the city. And
Which is the name of the dog?
well, the dog at that time was named Buster.
Buster.
And the book is dedicated to Buster. But Buster was, how shall I put it, a psychopath. And Buster was really disturbed, and it was a kind of a nightmare, an incubo. One of the things I learned from Buster was what I rediscovered New York City, I would say. Just from living we had just moved and we lived on a new block, and we had this little dog, and I had to go out all the time to walk the dog. And I started meeting people in a way I never had before. And I also started experiencing the city in a way I never had before, in all kinds of weather, the kind of weather that normally I would not have gone out and taken a walk on the coldest day of the year with snow up to my waist. But because I had the dog, we had to go out, and we took a walk, and we went to Central Park, and there's a pond in Central Park, and it was completely frozen except for one little patch. And there I saw a great blue heron catch a fish.
Which sounds a little bit strange if
In the
you
middle
think of it.
In the middle of Central Park, on the coldest day, there was just one little patch that wasn't frozen, and that's where all the ducks were there, and this heron was standing there, and it just caught a fish and swallowed it. And it was miraculous, and New York became this kind of miracle for me. And I really wanted to capture that, because I think that's the way a lot of people experience the city, and it's something that I had never read. And I also wanted to tell the story of a city block in its reality, which is really more like a kind of small village where people know each other, there's gossip, people bump into each other, you find out if someone's child is going to a good university or not, and certain kinds of relationships are forged. And so it just seemed like a wonderful opportunity to really share my feelings about New York, and also to explore what would happen if various people, these characters that I was thinking about, kind of isolated people, lonely people, came out onto this block with their dogs, and that the dogs would kind of act as cupids and bring people together. And in that way, it's a kind of fable and a series of love stories.
So dogs change life of people, because these people are really lonely sometimes, the people we read in this book, and they find a new life. And also
Exactly.
a new city, which is very interesting, because there is a relationship between the two, I think, and it's very strong and very romantic too.
Well, I also realized that New Yorkers really are romantics at heart, that there's a sense that anything could happen at any moment, and there's a tremendous optimism in New York. I mean, the cliche of New York is that everyone is kind of busy and curt and running around and rude, when in fact people come to New York, it's a kind of magnet, and it draws people who have great hope and optimism. And I think you find that when you talk to people, and whatever it is they do, that it's that kind of person who's drawn to the city, and they really are romantics. And so that was something else I really wanted to write about and to think about and explore. And so yeah, that was a lot of it.
And also the fact that living in a big city like this, also Milano, but many cities, but New York is the typical example, you always have a very fast life. And in this case, you discover a slow life for yourself to live. So this is a new quality, I think, that you understand while reading your book. So, no, I think it's just great.
Well, no, that's true though. That having to take your dog out on a summer evening, you have to take the dog out. You have to take a walk
at midnight, 1 in the morning,
which means you really have to slow down.
Yeah.
You can't take a fast walk. Just you go out. You say to the dog, "Do what you have to do, and we'll go home now." You really have to allow the dog to walk around. And it's true, it slows you down and allows you to experience where you are and also to experience other people.
I was really struck by one of the characters of the novel. The name of the woman is Jody and her dog is called Beatrice. Can you just very quickly tell the story of this strange couple?
Well, Jody is a violinist and teaches music at a school, and she lives alone, and she lives in a small, what we call a studio apartment, which is a one-room apartment that she's lived in since college. And she's a cheerful seeming person, but of course there's much more depth there than what most people see. And she sort of jokingly to herself says, "Oh, I'm turning into a spinster, so I think I better get a cat, because that seems like a kind of spinsterish."
In Italy, it's absolutely the same.
Yes. So,
Anyway.
So she goes to the animal shelter to get a cat, but when she's there, she sees this old white pit bull, a pit bull mix, bigger than most pit bulls, and she just falls in love. And the dog seems to have a kind of dignity, and she takes the dog home and names her Beatrice, and suddenly discovers a kind of love that she's never really experienced before, which is Beatrice is always there, and always there for her. But at the same time, and she loves and is very happy at that point, at the same time, because the dog brings her out onto the street so much, she meets someone, a man, and falls in love with him as well, and then has various romantic adventures.
This is a very feel-good novel.
I hope so. I actually wrote it partly to provide comfort to myself.
Yes, but also for the readers, I can tell you.
Well, I said to myself at the beginning of this book, I said, what is the book you would like to read right now? That's the book you should try to write. And so I very much had in mind my needs as a reader and my desire to feel comforted and to feel some warmth from the book.